Greetings, everyone, on the SciFiction Awesomeness. My name is Owen Cotter. You're watching SciFiction on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and X, like the X-Men. We're here at a top secret location located in Alabama. Beautiful place that allowed us the opportunity to do the live stream from here. Check them out on the Gulf Coast called the Innovation Portal. My name is Owen Cotter. For joining us, we are going to be here, joined here in a few minutes with Erica Schultz. She is the writer of Rat City for Image Comics and the all the cool stuff going on with Todd McFarlane's Spawn. So stay tuned. For a brief moment, we're going to go over some news items. We will be coming to you January 10th through the 12th at the Ernst M. Memorial Convention Center for Fan Expo of an amazing roster. They just announced today Huey Lewis, matter of fact, is going to be there. So not only is the entire cast of Back to the Future, the entire principal cast and the main actors, also Huey Lewis. You've got Andy Serkis will be there, who was the, of course, Gollum and played a lot of other cool CJ. Anthony Daniels from Stages. Here's all the list, all the stuff. Michael Rosenbaum from Inside of You podcast will be there. Just endless, awesome guests. Brandon Ruth from Superman Returns. You've got some amazing guests. We'll be coming. Here's Huey Lewis right there. Huey Lewis in the news. If you've never listened to that band, if you're younger, if you're older, you may know it. Check it out. Amazing. And this Power of Love song from Back to the Future, original 1985 movie. Got all kind of goodies. And they're packing on guests. You can get Bill Shatner right there. There's man, myth, legend right there. William Shatner himself. We will be coming to you all weekend long from Fan Expo on January 10th to the 12th in beautiful New Orleans, Louisiana. People joining us. My name is Owen Cotter. You're watching SciFiction on all the digital awesomeness. So I hope everybody's having a beautiful week. We'll be coming to you from there in Fan Expo. We'll be doing a few other little things after that. A little surprise nugget of information. It was just confirmed. We're getting the nomination information and the host information. It is looking like we will be at the Saturn Awards in beautiful Los Angeles, California on early February, the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd of February at the Universal City Hilton or something like that, the Hilton down there, having the awards ceremony. Really looking forward to doing that and bringing all the fans some quality sci-fi goodness. There have a lot of people that have won the nomination so far. I could bring that up, but it's buried in the email, about 14 different emails going down. I have to find it. But one of the things I'm really excited about is that Walter Goggins, who from Fallout, who played the Ghoul, it was one of my favorite characters of all. It's not they created that character for him. Is up for a nomination for Best Actor for Fallout. I'm very excited about that. We've been talking about. He needs an award. You need to get him an award. Walter, if you're watching, you're going to get that award. It's already done. It's already in the future. But that character is absolutely amazing. If you have not seen the Fallout television series on Amazon Prime, I highly recommend it. It takes all the best of all the Fallout video games, combines them together. Absolutely amazing 5-star presentation. Season 2 is going to be coming up. I think they just got maybe next year, sometime in 2025. They're going to be filming that. Sparkling water, Waterloo goodness. Yeah, we're going to be coming to you from Fan Expo in beautiful New Orleans, Louisiana. Wanted to show you something else here. Speaking of Fan Expo, so just announced William Shatner, which was like a big announcement like a few days ago, and then they've got all guests. We're going to all guests because there's a ton of guests here. You get everything from gaming stars, comic creators, cosplayers, anime guests, animation voices, celebrities, you name it. And comic creators are really cool. So we've got a lot of good comic creators down there, including the writer who's going to be on our show here just in a few minutes. Her name is Erica Schultz. For people just joining us, my name's Owen Cotter. You're watching SciFiction. She is the writer and the first female writer of all of Spawn for it's kind of like a cyberpunk sci-fi version of Spawn called Rat City. I believe they're on issue number 7 now. These are all the guests that are going to be at Fan Expo coming up in 2025, and they're just packing them on left and right. That was a good series. If you ever not seen Wings, go back and watch that on one of the stations. Absolutely amazing series. And an early Tony Shalhoub was in there as well from Men in Black, and Monk, he was in there as well. But yeah, we're going to be coming to you from Fan Expo in New Orleans on January 10th to the 12th at the Ernst M. Memorial Convention Center. If you're in the area, feel free to contact us. We'll be down on the convention floor. If you're a comic writer, an actor, producer, or you're hosting a podcast or anything cool you're doing, feel free to contact us. If you want to go to our site, show you how to contact us on that real quick. Go here, and you go there. So if you go to the site down here on the right below home, it says contact. Now, you don't need to open all hailing frequencies on all channels. Just fill out this form to establish a secure communication with links with the bridge. It's very simple. You put your first name, last name, email address, subject, and write out the brief message, submit. And that shoots it straight to the top of the bridge. And either me or assistant manager will get back to you pretty quickly within the first 24 hours of any given day. Just depends. We've been very, 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 very busy recently doing all kind of cool stuff. So yes. So stay tuned on that. Just let you know about that in case you want to contact if you're on that commit, or if you're at the Saturn Awards, which we'll be down there covering that. I think it's February 2nd, I believe, of 2025. And January 2025 is, believe it or not, according to Fan Expo and according to the online database IMDb, it's the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. You not only have all the main actors, you've got pretty much every actor that's even touched that franchise, including Huey Lewis in the news. Huey Lewis will be there as well. Absolutely amazing lineup they have at that event. We're really looking forward to the Saturn Awards to go over some things here real quick. See if we got that here. So show this secret news here. See if we got this rascal here. Oh boy. Let's see what we got. So some goodies. Some goodies. We're about to show this. Nobody's seen this yet, so I'm going to scroll down and show you all this. Los Angeles, California. Winners revealed at Saturn Awards ceremony on Sunday, February 2nd, 2025. I'm going to read you some of this. Director Denis Villeneuve, I can't pronounce it, Dune and Blade Runner 2049. He's going to be there. You've got the Deadpool and Wolverine is nominated for a Hugh Jackman Best Supporting Film Actress, also Emma Corrin, Sean Levy. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes received 8 nominations at the Saturn Awards. And here it is, 17 nominations, including 5 for the adaptation of the popular Bethesda software video game franchise Fallout, including Best Science Fiction Television Series and Best Actor Walton Goggins of the Ghoul of Awesomeness from The Boys has also got 3 nominations. Best Supporting Actor, TV Actor Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, will be up for nomination. Disney and Lucasfilm, Marvel, and Max will be there. So just tons of goodies. Cobra Kai, The Penguin from HBO, House of Dragon, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters with Kurt Russell and his son do that for the Godzilla series. Just endless awesomeness. Will be streamed on Electric Now, see premium OTT app and fast channel. And I believe a lot of things are going to be streamed on that. For the 50th and 51st Saturn Awards are exclusive broadcast live on Electric Now. Dean Devlin does The Ark on the Sci-Fi Channel. You got to check that series out. We've had several of those actors on. They're super cool. We love that series. Here's hoping for season 3. But beyond that, our special guest, I believe, is on here now, Eric Schultz. We're going to bring her on the Digital Awesomeness. And here she is.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, Erica? We're going over all the Saturn Award nominations for the February Saturn Awards. Looks like Walton's going to, he's up for a bunch of nominations for the Fallout.
Wow.
Yeah, the Ghoul. Pretty excited about that. I've been telling everybody he needs a nomination. He's got it. How's your day going, Erica?
It's going pretty good. Just, working on scripts and getting, trying to keep my head above water.
Very cool. If you see behind me that massive robot right there, we're at a special facility that deals with all kind of fancy stuff, the computers, virtual reality. They got crazy stuff on it. Absolutely ridiculous. But they were gracious enough to let me use their facility to do the broadcast here on the Gulf Coast. And they love, all of them love comics, especially Spawn and all the stuff y'all are doing with Image. So I'm really happy to see that. You got Rat City now. People that know Spawn, what is Rat City? Where does that take place in the universe of awesomeness?
So, Rat City, the name comes from an issue of Spawn. I want to say it's around issue 40, 42, where Al refers to, or rather the narrator refers to, the section of the Bowery that Al is living in with all those unhoused veterans.
Yeah.
And that section of the Bowery was called Rat City. So we took the name for this book. But in terms of where it falls in the Spawn universe, even if you've never read Spawn, you can read Rat City, because all you have to know is that in issue 300 and 301, Al detonates his suit.
Yeah.
And in doing so, he detonates it in the presence of Clown and in the presence of an angel. So that Spawn energy, heaven energy, hell energy gets rippled out. There's like a big shockwave, and it goes out through space and time.
Nice.
And in 2111 is when Peter Cairn, who is our Spawn, the deviant, he's not called Spawn. He's the deviant. Is working, and because this shockwave sort of breaks the space time continuum and just goes through space and time,
Right.
the shockwave goes out throughout uh, 2111, and Peter is caught within it. It causes this huge blackout in New York City, and nobody knows what's going on, but Peter is caught in it. And Peter is a former soldier, similar to Al, but
Oh,
he also has cybernetic legs
oh, cool. What about
because
legs? That's awesome. Yeah, there you
because he lost his legs. He's an amputee, and he lost his legs when he was on a secret mission in Azerbaijan. And the nanites in his legs are affected by the energy that comes through.
go. Oh, wow.
And that is what creates, because there is spawn energy. When the nanites create this protective suit for Peter when he's in trouble,
Yep.
and sort of like an instinctual kind of thing, it takes on the look of what people would consider a spawn suit, because it's been influenced by the energy
Right.
that Al detonated.
Wow, that's awesome. And you're the writer, I believe, the first female writer of all Spawn franchise. How was writing for that? How did you get into that? How was like the gateway into writing for Spawn? And how they?
Actually, it was a couple of years ago at New York Comic Con.
Okay.
Thomas Healy, who's the editor in chief at Todd McFarlane Productions, was looking for some new writers, and he approached me about doing something with Spawn. And I said, all right, like, we'll meet up after the convention, because New York Comic Con tends to be very sort of chaotic, and you can't really
Massive.
sort of focus on anything. So we said, we'll meet up. And a couple months later, we got on a Zoom call, and we were talking about, where I could find a story that would fit within the Spawn universe.
Right.
And I ended up sort of just riffing on this idea about an amputee veteran and going into the future, because that's something that they haven't sustained. Like, they'll have sort of shorts going into the future, but it's nothing that
Literally,
stays
it's
there.
in the future, full throttle.
Yeah. So I just sort of riffed on that idea, and Thomas really liked it. So we went back and forth, made a couple of changes, and then Joe Prado, who is a phenomenal artist in his own right, but also is an art rep for a lot of artists. Joe brought on Jay Carlos, who is the
Yeah.
line artist on the book.
Looks gorgeous, by my word. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I mean, Jay is, I can't say enough good things about him. He really, he really just takes the book, and anything that I've written, he just elevates it to, the highest power. And then J. David Ramos, who's the colorist on it, again, phenomenal work. So the book looks great. I hope it reads great.
Reads great.
Um,
Looking through
Thank
some of
you.
the earlier ones the other day, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's kind of cyberpunk, kind of sci-fi feel. Was there any inspiration? I know you got like stuff in DC, like Batman Beyond. You have stuff like Spider-Man 2099. Was there an influence between like anything particular, like sci-fi series or movies or anything that kind of gave you kind of an edge to kind of craft that into this beautiful universe created by Todd with the Spawn awesomeness?
We leaned in heavily into Blade Runner. Sid Mead is a designer who designed a bunch of things for Blade Runner. He was an architectural futurist, and just, I mean, if you look up his work, you'll see influences from cinema, anywhere from the '60s to now.
Legend.
You'll see his design work influencing, everything pretty much. So we leaned it heavily into Sid Mead. We also looked at, there was a book that I worked on called Bylines in Blood, with a phenomenal Spanish artist named Enique. And
Okay.
that takes place in around, 2060. So in the future, but not 100 years.
Right.
And we had done kind of some cyberpunk look for that, so I had sent Jay that as well, just to say, you know, I've written in a similar world. This is kind of the look. This is sort of a starting point for the look.
Okay.
And he took some of that idea, and especially in terms of like the grittiness,
Right.
and you know,
Kind of a noir kind of feel, or whatever you call it.
yeah. I mean, so it. I don't want to be that person who says like, oh, it runs across all genres, because it doesn't.
Right.
But we visually we sort of touch on classic noir. We touch on cyberpunk. We also touch on, you know, looking at the original Spawn, looking at what Todd first put together back in the 90s, and bring some of that into it. It has its own look, but you can obviously see influences
The homage.
throughout. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And the title in and of itself is an homage to Todd's original work on Spawn.
So science fiction, cyberpunk. I mean, superheroes. Of course, original Al was a vigilante of sorts, but he was a superhero. Made a deal with the devil. Of course, we all know the Spawn story. If you're a fan of Spawn, you've also done other work as well. You worked on a Wolverine and some other thing. Can you go over that briefly for a second and tell everybody a little bit about your
Um,
background?
yeah, so I've done a lot of work with Marvel. I've done a lot of creator-owned work, like By Lines and Blood, as I mentioned. I have a horror series
Hmm.
called 12 Devils Dancing. That's like a really hard R body horror series. And I've worked in sort of the urban fantasy realm. I have a series at Dark Horse called Forgotten Home. And
Okay,
then when it comes
great
to the
series, by the
Marvel work, thank you. When it comes to the Marvel work, I'm currently writing Daredevil Unleash Hell and Laura Kinney Wolverine
way.
for
Mark Kenny
Marvel.
Wolverine's absolutely amazing. I'm a big Wolverine fan. Anything deals with Marvel and Wolverine, X Men, there you go. Right? It's all
Yeah, I'm excited to work on it. I just finished writing the seventh issue,
okay.
and Giada Belviso is working on the art for issue number six. So I'm really excited about it. This time of year is a little kind of weird though, because you don't know who's taking what days off or what days
It's the
which
holiday
company is going
season.
to be out. So I just sort of work and send the work out, and don't expect to hear from anybody until the first week in January. But as long as I sort of keep myself busy, you know, idle hands kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy working with Marvel. It's always fun to sort of work in somebody else's sandbox, but at the same time, it's the freedom that Jay and I have really on Rat City is pretty amazing.
That's
You
very
know,
cool.
Todd and Thomas are they're very supportive of the idea of the story. They're very supportive of where the story's going. So yeah, I mean, they've been, you know, really big cheerleaders for us. So
It's absolutely an amazing series. When I found out they're doing a cyberpunk sci-fi Spawn set in the future, I'm like, wait, what? So one of our writers, I did a write up about the announcement of that. I think it was announced like a while back, but yeah, oh man, I was like so excited. I mean, I love stuff. I'm a huge comic book fan. I love all comics, Spider Man, sci-fi, cyberpunk. But I'm a huge sci-fi, cyberpunk. Of course, I got sci-fiction. I heard they're doing that. But I'm a huge fan of Batman Beyond, Will Friedle, and all these guys, amazing artists. And it's absolutely phenomenal. So it's on issue 7 now, I believe. We're coming up on 8.
issue number 9 comes
Okay,
out
man.
the let me just staring at my calendar on the uh 20 26th of November, of
Right after.
December, this or something like that. So yeah, issue number 9 is coming out this month. I Issue 10 is done. Issue 11, Jay is finishing up the art on 11,
Christmas
and
came early.
then
Holiday
Christmas
season.
came early. Yeah.
So,
And I have to finish up on the script on 13. So,
wow, you already got that many. That's amazing. So I got to
well,
ask, is there anything we can kind of, you could kind of maybe tell us that's coming soon, or any kind of little tidbits of things we can maybe look forward to in the character, or something we're going to see a little bit, anything?
well, I'll say that you're going to start seeing a little more of Peter's past,
Okay.
and not his military past, more of his like personal past.
Okay.
And you're definitely going to see some of Quinlan's past. But issue 13 is going to have the way I have it sort of like laid out.
Hmm.
Um, there's not going to be a lot of Peter in it, but you're definitely going to see hell. Hell is definitely
Yeah.
coming into, and in this, I would say issue 13 is probably the one issue that's going to tie the most into the overall Spawn universe. Um, so that's really what's going to be sort of the anchor to pull it into the overall Spawn universe. But again, I mean, it's not a it's not a prerequisite to have read 360 issues of Spawn to pick up Rat City.
That's cool because like I mean I love Spawn, but people that never read Spawn, they just jump into a few episodes. I mean, a few issues of Spawn, Rat City. Well, there you go. If they like
Yeah.
sci-fi and cyberpunk, that's a whole nother level right there. I gotta ask. I mean, you writing these amazing comics for Image, and also Marvel and things like that. Were there any particular books that you may have read growing up, or any kind of movies or TV shows that kind of like, wow, this is awesome, that you kind of got you into all this awesomeness?
I mean, I loved reading comics, and I grew up in a very, sci-fi forward household. I mean, mom and dad loved Star Trek. My dad was always reading, Sagan or Asimov, or and we were a big, Star Wars household. Like when the first Star Wars movie came out, we were there, in '77, kind of thing. Um, and I remember going to the theater and waiting on this giant line across, like around the theater, to see The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, wow.
So we were definitely like a sci-fi household. Um, and I mean, I would read whatever comics my brother brought home, and it was usually, Uncanny. So, Claremont and Byrne, Claremont, Austin, Lee. And it was, Batman, so Death in the Family.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I remember being really confused by Death in the Family because I used to watch Batman 66
Right.
after school,
Yeah, I
and
haven't
you'd
watched it
watch
yet.
it.
Yeah.
You'd watch an episode of Batman 66, and then there's your brother reading with that cover, with him holding Robin. I'm like, what are you talking about? Robin can't be dead. I just saw him on the TV.
He died, and
Yeah. And who's this Jason character? Robin's Dick Grayson. Like, what are you talking about? Who's
right.
this Jason Todd? Um, so yeah, I mean, I love storytelling. Um, I think storytelling is a great way to teach people things. I think it's a great way to learn empathy, to learn about how how to and how not to react to certain situations. Um, I mean, I really love being in the space of writing fiction. And again, like, writing for Marvel is great because I'm dealing with phenomenal characters that have existed for a really long time.
Sure.
And then, working on our own stuff is, with Rat City and then Bylines and Blood and Forgotten Home and everything. I mean, that's a lot of fun because then you just sort of expand on everything.
For sure.
Um, and it's just it's a job, but it is definitely a fun job.
Fun job. I hear you on that.
Yeah.
So comic books. I mean, I was talking to Todd a little bit about this when I talked to him before Comic Con on the broadcast. He's super cool, man. I love talking. I can talk to him all day. Comics, entrepreneurship, everything. The pop art is so popular now. It's like fine art. I was talking to a guy out at
Yeah.
Comic Con, and he was telling me like this is like the Picassos, and they're all just artwork, like Carlos and all these guys, and women too. But all the artwork is so vibrant, and they're just the original artwork has come like really. There's different styles, of course. What is your thoughts? And I asked this to Todd a few months back. What are your thoughts on just the future of pop art and just comics in general? What do you see for like not only Rat City but the future of comics in general? Where are we going to go with that? Movies, all the adaptations.
I I'm the type of person where I want to make comics for the sake of making comics.
Mhm.
Yes, doing adaptations is always great, and especially if the original creators are being able to be financially compensated for that.
Of course,
Um, at the same time, I know that sometimes people think that comics are kind of more or less like a stepping stone to creating a film or a television series. I don't fall into that category. I think that I think when you're making a comic, you should make it as a good comic.
of
You
course,
should work within the medium that you're in. Um, if you want it to translate to something else, great, but your focus should be making it into a good comic. And in terms of the future, I mean, like, there are some cultures that have comics baked in. Like, the French culture, they have bande dessinée baked in. You know, you have manga and manhwa in Japan and Korea, respectively. I mean, you have these projects, you have these cultures that it's it is all part of it. So it's not like comics are ever going to go away anytime soon.
God, I hope not. She was.
Yeah, I hope not. Um, but I think that there has been a bit of a switch in terms of like the pipeline from comic to Hollywood.
Right.
And at one point, it was like, just sort of a fire hose. And I think that that sort of stemmed off a bit, especially because of, these. I don't think these large companies are really having budgetary issues, let's be honest. But,
Hundreds of
but,
zillions of dollars, right?
yeah, exactly. Like a bajillion dollars. You're like, come on, you can
Drop five
spend.
hundred million on an Avengers film. There you go. Make back a couple billion in the first weekend. There you go.
Exactly. I mean, it's really it's kind of funny when you read the news and they're like, "Oh, so and so's having trouble, with whatever." And I'm like, "Are they really?"
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. I think they're not really. I think like the big, huge companies are not really struggling as badly as they want everybody else to believe. And let's be honest, it's a little difficult to have sympathy for somebody, for a company that's making a TV show that's like 10-12 million dollars per episode. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's a little hard to be sympathetic about that. But I think that my hope is that there will be more comics made for the sake of comics,
Hmm.
and that in that theme, we will see more creators, more diverse storytelling, um, more even autobiographical comics, or
Ooh,
like Kate Beaton had the phenomenal book called Ducks. And more biography comics. I mean, look at March. I mean, that was a huge hit, and it taught a lot of people
big hit.
about
Yep.
John Lewis and the civil rights marches, and what this country went through, and it continues to go through. So I think that with luck, um, comics will be brought into sort of more of a mainstream. And I think, and comics are, again, going back to March, comics are a great way um, to educate.
Yeah,
And I
for
know
sure.
that there's people are having issues with certain books in libraries and such.
Right.
Comics really are a gateway to so much more. And I really wish that people would be less closed-minded about things like that.
Plus, it teaches people how to read. If you've never read a book and you start reading a comic, you can, some I know people that are my buddies, and when they were children, they learned how to read from comics. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people. I mean, for some people, a comic is a respite from whatever it is that you're going through, whether it's
Sure.
family issues or personal issues or whatever. For other people, it's like you said, how they learned how to read, how they learned to communicate. And I think that that's really important. It is a genuinely unique medium in the sense of the words and pictures, and the emotive nature of the art. And like you were saying, artists are, these pages are elevated to fine art. I mean, I'm very lucky. I have a bunch of original art all around my office with me,
Nice.
and they're all framed and it's all gorgeous. And this stuff should be in galleries. But there's been that age old, what is considered high art versus, pop art versus commercial art, whatever. And I used to work in a studio, and that's sort of an argument that people would have back and forth all the time. Um, but I mean, the level of care that the artists, whether you're a colorist, an inker, a penciler, whatever, put into these stories, put into telling the story, not just with the balloons and with the dialogue, but with the art itself. I
Right.
mean, that type of storytelling is a skill, and it's something that takes
Sure.
years to master. And you know, I'm just seeing things get better and better, and that's, for me, that's a positive.
That's amazing. More fine art for everybody in the pop culture
Yeah,
universe. and beyond. I gotta ask. So
Absolutely.
they just announced at Comic Con that they're going to be doing a live action version of Spawn. Now, if they were to ever ask or whoever to create a live action version of Rat City, what would you think about that? Who would you like to play Peter in that?
Off the top of my head, I can't really pick somebody because I'm sure that there's someone out there who
For sure.
could play Peter. I just don't know if I'm familiar with them.
Could be an unknown.
Um, it could be an unknown. There's there is Peter has he's not old. I mean, he's in his late 30s, early 40s, but he has a world weariness about him because of being in the service. And, we talk about in later issues, we'll talk about him losing his brother when he was young.
Okay.
And then, losing his best friend in issue number 3 of Rat City. Um, he has a world weariness, and at the same time he still has just a hair bit of hope. So someone who could convey both of those things, who could convey this, like, oh, I can't believe this is the hand that life has dealt me, and this is horrible, but at the same time still has that just tiny sliver of hope that not only are things going to get better, they will get better, but also what can I do to be active in helping them get better, you know?
That's an amazing answer. I love that. I mean, I hope that I can't wait to see just the Spawn movie when they get the new thing. Was I was talking with Todd about that, and they have it all set up. So he's got to get it all cast, all the stuff directing and everything. He wants to direct himself. He told me so. I mean, that'd be amazing. I'd love to see that. The Image universe, Spawn, all the cool stuff y'all are doing. Is there anything that you, not just Image, but anything you like to, if you haven't worked on, really worked in Marvel, is there anything you'd like to get in on that maybe now or you see coming in the, on the pipeline you'd like to be involved with as well?
I I had pitched I love Beta Ray Bill. He's one of my favorite characters at Marvel. And I had pitched a mini series with Beta Ray Bill. So I still, a couple of years ago. So I'm still sort of like, chanting to the editors, like, hey, maybe we can do that Beta Ray Bill series. I'm working on Daredevil now, and I love working on Daredevil. I've written both Matt and Elektra as Daredevil. Um, so, I mean, that's fun to work on. I would say, I would love to do a Lady J book for the
Okay.
Energon universe. I would love to do a Lady J book. Um, I would love to do like an Absolute Hawk Girl or Absolute Hawk Woman for DC.
That'd be great.
And I'd love to do the Beta Ray Bill story that I pitched. There's also another Moon Knight story that I would love to do because I love working on
Ooh,
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight's cool. Yeah, I like Moon Knight.
So there's another Moon Knight story that I've pitched with Sal Valuto, who was an artist on, I want to say, 20 plus issues of Mark
Oh,
Spector Moon Knight in the 80s and 90s. And I met him at a show in Atlanta a year or two ago, and he was just he was everything that when people say don't meet your heroes, I would say don't put Sal in that, because he was phenomenal and sweet and just so kind and so gracious, and yeah. So
wow.
I would love to do
It's great
that
to hear that.
Moon Knight story. Yeah.
That's totally cool. Man, that's wow. Was it the, what's there's one big event at Dragon Con? Was it Dragon Con or what was it?
It was DragonCon. Yeah, it was DragonCon. Not this past year. It was last year. DragonCon. Yeah.
There's that big Mardi Gras parade to go. It's just like all the 501st Legion. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, DragonCon is a
It's
beast.
getting
Like,
big. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it's like New York and San Diego. It's I think 4 or 5 days. So it is a beast of a show.
You get San Diego, I think New York, but San Diego has like the preview night. It's Wednesday
Yeah,
and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. It's like if you've been down there on the Gaslamp District, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's
yeah.
crazy.
Well, New York actually this past year they had done something where they had like sort of a preview night for Wednesday, but it was basically for retailers, and they were doing sort
Yeah.
of like panels with retailers and things like that. And so that's, I mean, whereas it didn't open up the main floor, it didn't open up Artist Alley, there were still sort of events and panels and things like that that was happening on the Wednesday night. And then, the main show is the Thursday through Sunday. So
That's super. I didn't know they did a preview. They've been begging me. A lot of buddies and a lot of friends have been saying, "You got to go to New York." Now, my sister, she went to New York NYU for theatrical management, but I was living in California at the time, so I didn't get to go out there and visit. She's already gone. She lives in Arizona now, which is hilarious. We are looking at New York Comic Con next. We've been to San Diego this year, and the Saturn Awards. We'll be seeing you there, Walton. Got to get his award for Fallout. That's gonna be awesome. God, I hope so.
he's done an amazing job.
Amazing job, right? But I gotta ask. So, for people that are not just getting into writing, but getting into creative, inspirational. I know you said you work at the studio. Is there any kind of wisdom you can kind of give them to guide them on track or take them to the next level and beyond?
I would say, no matter what medium you're trying to get into, consume as much as possible. So, I'm writing comics, but I'm reading screenplays, I'm watching films, I'm reading comics, I'm reading novels, I'm reading nonfiction novels, I'm listening to podcasts, things like that, because you never really know where an idea is going to hit you. And I always say that everything that I write is emotionally autobiographical,
Okay.
where I bring a bit of myself to it no matter what. Peter is a veteran and an amputee. My grandfather was a veteran and an amputee. My father was a veteran. So like there's a little bit of how my relationship to them in this book. Um, and in every book that I write, in Laura Kinney Wolverine, we have, a young woman who's, 21, 22 years old living in New York City. I got my first apartment in New York City when I was, 22 years old, and I was living and working in the city. So it was, that idea of being not wide eyed, but being sort of hopeful, but also cautious, but also, do I deserve to be here? Do I belong here? All of those sort of emotional reactions, I think, is important to imbue in that story. So I would say to anybody who wants to get into a creative field, consume as much as you can in terms of reading and watching and writing and listening, because you want to see where your influences are. I mean, it's literally been proven that music can change your mood.
Oh, for sure.
So, there's a lot of times that you'll see people say, "Oh, well, I'm writing, this particular story, and this is my playlist," because they're using the music to sort of hype them up and bring them into to a particular mood. So just sort of immerse yourself
Yeah.
in everything that you possibly can, but also be realistic, because anybody can write comics, but not everybody can do it professionally, and not everybody can do it for a living.
There's a lot of
Um,
truth to that. Yeah.
it's a very, very difficult position to be in, and 9 times out of 10 you're a freelancer, so that in and of itself is a little, you know scary to sort of navigate, because you're not getting your a regular paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. So if you are looking to do this full time, I would say that your best bet is to keep the day job for as long as you can before you start doing this full time. Just because, health insurance is super expensive. And if you're getting it through your job, then
Sure.
keep that. And, having a cushion is important, just in case, because no
A
matter what.
fallback position or something like that.
Exactly. And there are people who have taken time away from comics and worked, a real job, put it in quotes. And then there are people who've come back to it. I don't think having a day job makes you any less competent or any less professional than not having a day job. I mean, I was working in comics for several years, and I was also working in a studio. I was teaching, I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. Um, and it doesn't make you any less, the idea that you have to suffer for your art, or the idea that you have to, you know be damaged for your art, or whatever thing, those are terrible stereotypes, and those are, terrible expectations that people put on you, that it shouldn't be necessary at all.
Right.
So if you, or you can marry somebody who's very wealthy.
It's always a plus too, right?
You can marry somebody who's got a lot of money, and then you can do whatever you want. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing that says that you can't do what it is that you want to do. It's just try and be smart about it, and try and be make sure that you understand that, you know, the world is going to keep spinning whether you turn that script in or not, but you might want to turn that script in.
That's
So
right. Doing that script in. So I got to ask. We're wrapping up here in about 5 minutes. Is there any events or anything? First off, when is the next issue of Rat City coming? I said December 20.
I think it's December 26th, give or
Okay.
take. And then and that would be issue number 9. So
Okay.
issue 9 comes out this month in December. And then uh, 10 and 11, 11's getting drawn right now. 10 is done. Um, and 12 has already written. 13, I have to finish the script. And 13, I think, will be out in April, March, 10, 11, 12, April. 13 will be out in April. Um, Wolverine, Laura Kinney Wolverine #1 was in stores earlier last week,
Right.
so that you can pick that up in January. Sorry, I'm squinting at the calendar. January 8th is Daredevil Unleash Hell #1. And yeah, I think
You're
that's,
busy. I tell you what.
yeah, I'm
Got to be
busy. I'm
fun.
tired.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's all, no, it's a lot of fun. Well, I
Yeah.
wanted to really, I'm an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Erica, and I want to thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to the next issues of Rat City and all the other goodies you're working on. Also wanted to thank the Innovation Portal here in Mobile, Alabama. They're doing all kind of awesome technology and all kind of good things in the world. Erica, absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much. Be well.
You
Take
too.
care.
Beautiful day.